Have you ever walked into like a massive sports bar on a Friday night and you just look up at dozens of TVs all playing completely different
Oh
games?
yeah, it's just screens everywhere you look.
Right. And you have to wonder, how on earth does someone control all this without just totally losing their mind?
Because honestly, it looks like complete chaos.
It really does.
Yeah.
So today's deep dive is unpacking exactly that. We're looking at the engineering that prevents that chaos, specifically focusing on HDTV Supply's WolfPack 1080p AV over IP matrix switchers as our case study.
Yeah, and the underlying shift here is, well, it's fundamentally about changing how we even define a video signal in the first place.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, in a traditional setup, you are totally bound by the physical limitations of HDMI cables,
Mm-hmm.
right? And fixed hardware ports.
So you can only plug in as many cables as you have holes in the box.
Exactly. But AV over IP, which is audio and video over internet protocol that turns the video stream into pure data. Yeah. So you're no longer limited by cramming cables into a metal box.
Yeah.
You're only limited by your network bandwidth.
I mean, that sounds great in theory, but 1080p video is a massive amount of data.
It is.
So how are venues pushing like 60 different high-definition streams through standard CT6 internet cables up to 450 feet?
Without crashing the entire network, right?
Yeah, exactly. How does it not just bottleneck?
That comes down to the compression protocols, specifically H.264 or H.265.
Okay, so it's compressing the files.
Right. Instead of trying to shove a massive uncompressed video file down the wire, these algorithms aggressively compress it. They chop it up into these tiny data packets that can easily travel over a regular Ethernet network.
Just right alongside normal internet traffic.
Exactly.
So it's essentially like taking a giant jigsaw puzzle, breaking it into 1,000 individual pieces, mailing them all in separate envelopes,
Right.
and then having them instantly reassemble themselves flawlessly on, TV 14.
It's a perfect analogy.
Oh.
And doing it so fast that the human eye cannot even detect the process.
Wait, really? How fast are we talking?
The WolfPack system gets a switching latency of just 80 milliseconds.
Wow, 80 milliseconds. That's nothing.
Yep. Plus, it utilizes power over Ethernet, or PoE. So that same K6 cable carrying those puzzle pieces.
Is also delivering the electricity to power the receiver.
Exactly.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, though.
Sure.
If we are relying entirely on network packet switching instead of a hardwired HDMI connection, doesn't a minor network hiccup mean the entire bar misses the game-winning touchdown?
You would think so, but that 80 millisecond latency specification is actually the safeguard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the hardware is actively managing those packets with such low latency that even if there is, like, slight network congestion, the buffer handles it before you ever see a stutter on the screen.
So the end user never even notices.
You're right. Because the routing is handled at the network level, you just don't have to worry about data packets at all.
Which brings us to how a busy bartender actually controls this on a Friday night.
Right, because they are network engineers.
Exactly. They use a tablet interface called the WolfPad. Because the video is just data on a network, the iPad simply acts as a map.
A digital floor plan.
Right, you get a full floor plan of the venue with real-time video previews.
Like right there on the iPad screen.
Yes. So if you want to change sources, say from DirecTV to Roku or whatever, you literally just drag the live preview and drop it onto the TV you want on the map.
That is incredibly intuitive.
You can even power the monitors on and off from there.
It just totally decouples the complex infrastructure from the user experience. You don't need some on-site engineer to remember complex routing codes.
Or figure out which matrix input goes to which screen.
Right.
But wait, there is usually a catch with these commercial AV setups.
Oh, the subscription fees?
Yes. A tech company will hand you a beautiful iPad interface, sell you the hardware for cheap, and then just bleed you dry with recurring monthly software subscriptions to keep the floor plan active.
Right.
Are we looking at heavy licensing fees here?
Actually, no. Our sources highlight that as a major differentiator for this specific system. There are 0 monthly license fees.
Wait, 0? Are you sure?
Yep. You buy the hardware and the software control is yours permanently. No subscriptions.
Wow. Okay, but without those subscription subsidies, the hardware cost must be significant, right? What does it actually take to implement this?
Well, because it's AV over IP, it is entirely modular. You aren't forced to buy a massive 60-port chassis if you only have 4 TVs.
Oh, so you just buy what you need.
Exactly. A small venue can start building a system for around $150.
That is way less than I thought.
Right. But if a venue wants to scale all the way up to a massive 30 input by 60 output setup, The hardware runs around $15,000.
So it just dynamically scales with the business?
And it scales way beyond hospitality, too. This architecture features SEC security compliance.
Wait, like government security standards?
Yes, the data encryption and routing security meets stringent government standards.
Yeah.
So the exact same technology dropping a basketball game onto a bar TV.
Is robust enough to route highly classified data in a military command center.
Exactly.
That is a massive leap from the old days of, crawling behind the dusty AV rack with a flashlight.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone from rigid physical cables to pure data running over standard Ethernet, and it's all controlled by literally dragging and dropping on an iPad.
It just turns an absolute logistical nightmare into a simple networking exercise.
It really does. So the next time you are at a massive sports bar or venue with a giant video wall, look up at those screens and ask yourself a question.
Is the real spectacle the game you're watching?
Or is it the invisible lightning-fast network of IP switches making all the magic happen right behind the walls?